Welcome to another edition of Test Drive. Hope you're doing well, by the way. Studio 397 recently released the Radical SR3 for rFactor 2, and so I thought I'd jump on this Sao Paulo GP course, which is also recently updated, and give that a shot. This is the DX11 beta version, so there could be some issues along the way, but I wanted to give my thoughts about this car, and I'm going to preface this with I was already in the market for purchasing one of these cars. Not right away, but I started doing my research about 3-4 months ago when a customer of mine kind of got me turned on to what the cars were all about. So, I've got some interesting thoughts about this car, and yeah, let's just jump into it, and I'll see if I can effectively communicate that while driving. Okay, so as we get ready to take the green flag, again, I'm going to kind of explain where my thought process is at. I currently race a 125 shifter on big road courses when I can, and I had a customer that raced Radical SR3s, and also, by the way, we qualified 13th in this, and he also is an instructor up at Thunder Hill. So when we got to talking, he used to race 125 shifters, and he said it would be a really great stepping stone, and he thought I'd have a lot of fun because the cars are excellent. They're supposed to be you've got to have money, some money obviously, but these cars are meant for the working guy to go out and go club racing or a little beyond. Low maintenance, especially with that Hayabusa 1550 with the dry sump on it. They're really supposed to be low maintenance. They got sealed bearings in them. You can, for lack of getting too deep into it, almost take the car apart by yourself. You can take it to the racetrack by yourself. It's got reverse. So the car is really meant to be, and it's also meant to be easy to drive. Hard to go fast, but easy to drive. You're supposed to basically stick almost anybody in it with at least a small amount of driving competence, and they should be able to get out there and go have fun, and really it should be way more car than they need. So that really got me intrigued. There's plenty of races around here to run also with the SR3, which I like that as well. So basically I could pick any weekend that I wanted to and go and race when time permits. And if my wife gets into it, I bought her a Tag 125 to go with me now to road race. If she likes the road racing aspect, I thought it'd be fun to try and road race together. So it was very intriguing when Studio 397 announced this car. So again, this is supposed to be an updated car as far as the horsepower is concerned, but everybody that I've spoken to says it should essentially be the same car. There should be no huge differences besides a little bit of horsepower. Again, I've done a lot of talking beforehand with people about this car, watched them race in person. And so watching the stream that happened last Thursday, I'm recording this on Monday, July the 3rd, by the way, I noticed right away that the cars seem to have an inherent push to begin with. Now, I'm not driving super hard right now because I'm really trying to focus my thoughts and make a point. Whoa, hi there. That was an interesting block, and that was an interesting move, period, by the AI. Anyway, in that stream, I noticed right away that they seem to block, or not block, but they seem to have a push on entry, which is not something that A, I noticed, and B, nobody had said anything about it. Mike Morrison is an instructor up at Thunder Hill, and he said basically this was going to remind me of my 125 shifter. Maybe not quite the brutality and acceleration, but it still was going to be plenty fast, and was going to handle fairly similar to the kart, which is not something I noticed in the stream, but it was the stream. I reserved judgment till I get my hands on it. You could talk about what happened with the accelerated mechanical failures. That's probably not something you want to show off your car doing. in your game as far as exploding and only 2 people making a 20-minute race, and then brakes failing as well. But on Friday evening, the car came out, and again, I jumped into it and noticed straight away that this car has an inherent push to it, which is not something that I was anticipating. The car should be stuck quite a bit more. It feels like it's almost on top of the track, but there does seem to be a little tire flex to it, just not the level of grip I had been anticipating on corner entry. Now, off the corner, this seems to be more in line with what the guys were describing. So I put about 2 or 3 hours into the car. Wasn't really sure if maybe I misunderstood, wasn't driving the car right. I tried a bunch of different setups. I got it to turn in better, but still doesn't stick. And I'm talking about the nose. The nose of the car should stick. So I went back to the drawing board, went back to the people that I had talked to, went back to Mike Morrison, asked more questions, and he said that there's no way that this car should have any kind of push to it. So he said maybe I showed him a video of how I was driving and the way I was, and it explained the way I was driving it, and he said it shouldn't be doing that. Maybe an SR8 or an SR1 would have a little bit of a push because the SR1 never really had a whole lot of motor to it, and the SR8 is heavier because of the V8 in it, and you're also going quicker. So he said, you overcook that car, it might have a push to it, but these cars should turn in really, really good. And again, they should be very easy to drive. Now, I'm not saying that the car is not fun, because the car is fun. I think this is going to be great for club racing, league racing, any kind of events. But the car does not drive correctly. Again, I even got in touch with a few more people that race the car, and I explained what I was noticing. And then also, one of them actually owns rFactor 2 and had downloaded this car and was running it. He's a sim racer himself, and he says the car under deceleration does not act accordingly. He says, woo, got up on the curve. He said under acceleration, it seems to be fairly similar. But if anything, if you overcook this car going into the turn, the back end should start trying to step out on you. But not even that bad. So he said it's an interesting case of they kind of got it right. So that's kind of my thoughts on the car as a whole. You'll notice that I can't hang with the cars in the draft. There is something up with the AI that they have considerably more straightaway speed than you do. Try leaving it in 5th gear to see if that makes a difference. But I could be right behind the car in front of me and they'll actually pull away in the draft. So they've got a speed advantage down the straightaway, which I have not figured out yet. I've tried trimming the car out for more speed, done all kinds of stuff, it doesn't matter. So there's a problem there. And then I feel like the car just doesn't respond correctly on turn-in. You've really got to be, back your turns up and be a little more gentle with the car, which again is not something that I understand the car should act like. Mike Morrison being a former instructor at Thunderhill, and again having raced this car a lot, along with he raced GT cars and a bunch of other stuff. But he said that this car should not act in this manner. The car, he said, his data logger will say that his car, at his highest G load, was about 5.1 Gs in the corner, which is crazy. And he said he actually had the national champ run his car one time, and that guy was pulling 6 Gs in the corner, which is just crazy. Which means this thing's going to be more slot car or go-kart like, which may not be fun to some people, but would be more correct. Where this car kind of dances around, kind of has a push going in, and again, I'm not saying it's not fun, it's just not correct. So it's a case of, I'm sure they got all the technical data right, But I always caution people about technical data only gets you so far. You really need people that are experienced in sim racing and real-world racing to kind of dial cars in, because you're talking about a set of parameters, whether it's the physics engine, the tire model, tire flex, the aero dynamic model that's in the simulation. You know, it's all parameters that a human being is putting in. So, while I know people get hung up on the technical aspects, I want those technical aspects to be correct too, as far as, you know, the weight, all the parameters that are being put in, I want those to be right. But at the end of the day, the car needs to drive correctly. And I would rather, in a perfect world, they would be all the same, right? But that's not, we're not in a perfect world. Let's see if this guy will give it to me. We're not in a perfect world, so we have to understand that there's probably going to be some concessions made for the car itself. We've got about probably one more lap after the line. And I would rather the car drive correctly and don't want to fudge any numbers, but kind of going to have to get the car. There's something not right, I guess, is where I'm trying to go with this. So, in my analysis paralysis, and I thought I was going to run right into that guy. Come on. It would not slow down. That's frustrating. The brakes should be better. The braking grip should be better in this car. Not feel like you have to really get on the brake for days and kind of get this thing to slow down. It just... Knowing what I know, it's a little disappointing. But again, you know, if you don't care, you know, take the car for what it is, it's a fun car to drive. And I hope I'm making that clear. I'm not trying to crap on Studio 397. You know, people put time and effort into this. That's not my intent. I just think the AI needs to be fixed, number one, and then the car just needs some adjustment. We come to the finish here. Can I do it? Around the outside? Well, I was up front. Oh well. This was more about talking to you guys than anything else. This guy's gonna... I mean, their straightaway speed is so much higher than mine, it's kind of silly. So that'll do it for my look at Studio 397 Radical SR3, and put the RSX at the end of that, obviously. A fun car, but it's flawed. It feels more like a... To me, it feels more like a fantasy car right now than anything else, so... I'm not trying to tell anybody that you can't enjoy it by any means. Feel free to have fun. I think it'll be a great car for, like I stated, clubs and leagues and events and that kind of thing. So, hopefully, you understand. That's where I'm coming from. I would just like to see the car be stuck a little more. That's what it's supposed to be like. For all the latest in sim racing news, you can hit up isrtv.com. You guys have been great. I've been strange. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I will catch you guys in the next test drive.